So it is no longer a secret that we are going on holiday and we are driving from Leicestershire to Monaco. That's over 1,000 miles each way. I'm going with Liam, who's going in his Audi S3. I'm going with Matt, who's going in his twin turbo Lamborghini Gallardo. And I am going in my wide body Nissan 350Z. Now the car is looking so much better than when we started the whole project, but it does not mean that it's done, and we've still got some niggles to sort before we go on this epic road trip. So let's get on with it. So you'll be glad to hear at this point I have definitely learnt my lesson. The first thing I'm going to be doing before taking this car on a long drive is taking out the old oil, putting a fresh filter on and putting some fresh oil in there to make sure that we've got the right amount in, as I've learnt from my mistakes in the past. So we just pop off the sump plug, allow the oil to drain, twist off the oil filter, and then the same in reverse. A little bit of old oil around the rim of the oil filter just helps it seal that a little bit better. So once the sump plug and the oil filter are back on, we could pop some fresh oil in, and if you know 350Zs, you'll know how pointless these dipsticks are. They're just impossible to read, so you always feel like you're winging it a bit, but there's definitely some in there, so that's a start. The next job to make sure that my car was road trip ready is making sure the lights were working. We had a brake light out on the rear, so just a fresh bulb in there, that was good as new. Once that was fixed, the next thing to look at was my rear axle. For a little while now I've been getting a click coming from the driver's side, which is a little bit strange I thought, but after doing a bit of digging I'd seen that it's not always a CV or something more serious. Sometimes the splines on the drive shaft can get a little bit dry and just not quite sit right, so potentially giving these a clean up and re-greasing them can actually fix this. So once the wheel was off, all we had to do is remove this retaining pin, then whip off the 32mm nut, and then the drive shaft was free from the hub side. On the diff side of the drive shaft, this was a little bit tougher. These bolts had kind of seized in, so I had to use the gun with a wobbly socket and an extension, which felt super sketchy, to break the nuts. Then once they were moving, I could pop a spanner on the other side and get the nut and bolt out. After a few taps and a bit of negotiation, the drive shaft was free from the car. So once that was out, we just gave it a clean up with a wire brush, treated it with some copper grease, and then also put some in the splines on the hub too. Then it was just wrestling it back into the car, popping the 32mm back on and the retaining pin, and we were good to go. So after painting the car, I attempted to fit the windscreen seal myself and didn't do a very good job of it and made a bit of a mess. So I had Archie from AGM Windscreens pop round and tidy up my bad work for me. Okay, so we've now got the new windscreen seal fitted, and also I've tried cleaning up and re-greasing the drive shaft splines. Apparently sometimes this can fix the clicking that I'm experiencing on my back axle, so fingers crossed that's worked. great news, removing and greasing the drive shaft splines actually did fix my problem, so that's a huge win. Once we got that done, topped up the screen wash, we could get the aircon gassed, and we were getting there. Progress was good, progress was good. Now the car was working as it should, we wanted to make sure it was looking as it should. So I went down to New Look Detailing to see my friends Callum and Toby, who had agreed to give me a hand, wet sanding the car and giving it a good thorough polish up. Now we did only have a day left to do this. We were starting this on the Saturday and I was leaving on the Sunday at 5 in the morning. So time was tight and it was a very, very tight schedule. So it's not going to be a perfect result, but just going to do what we can. So the majority of the car got treated to 1500 grit wet, then 2000 grit wet, and then 3000 grit wet, and then polished to remove the haze left by the sanding process. Wet sanding and polishing a car can be an extremely time-consuming task, so to even attempt to try and get this done in a day, even with 3 of us, was a bit daft really, but we did alright, we did pretty well. Callum also very kindly offered to PPF the bottom of the wings where these return into the wheel arch, because this area is going to get an absolute hammering with stone chips, and after that 2,000 mile round trip I can't imagine it's going to be looking very good, so PPF's going to keep it looking nice. If you don't know, PPF is paint protection film, which is essentially a clear film which protects from stone chips while still mimicking the look of the paint, so it still looks very good to the eye but also is very protective as well over the surfaces that it's covering. And we're now finally nearing the final steps of polishing, doing the last finishing touches, and we're about set. So the 350Z is now fully sanded and polished, and it's not quite the way that we'd normally do it. It's definitely not a perfect job because that's just not achievable in a day, but it's now, I'm going to call it Monaco ready. Our time is now 10 to 11 and we are leaving at 6 in the morning. I have done absolutely zero packing and I still need to wash the car as well because it's covered in dust from this. So I'm going to wash the car, get home, pack all my bags, sort my life out and get up at 6 in the morning. So I suppose I best get on with it. Callum, thank you for your help. Toby, who was here earlier helping us, thank you very much to him too. I'm going to leave a link to their guys' channels in the description. Go and check them out, they do lots of detailing vlogs and all that sort of thing, and they're very good friends of mine too. So anyway, Callum, I'll see you when I'm back. You guys, I'm going to see you very shortly in the next video when we are road tripping, don't know if I've mentioned that, to Monaco. See you then.